Here, I would certainly try to get rid of the fraud, waste, and abuse that's in it. And with Social Security, I would like for us to ask the people. I have 5 children, and since I have an accounting background, I've done a lot of auditing. I would like for us to go in and done a lot of financial planning. I'd like for us to go in and ask the people that are 45 and under to take a payoff on what they have paid into Social Security. It would be a minimal amount that they could then invest in some retirement program. But they would continue paying in about half of what they're currently paying into the existing Social Security program to fund the people that have paid into it. It's not an entitlement program. You paid into it, your employer paid into it, and then I would like to see us not only have these younger people not paying into it, but also realizing they would not get anything out of it. So I believe that's one of our best solutions for this, because otherwise, and I do not want our seniors cut on their Social Security. That fund was robbed by our government, and they need to put the money back. It would have been funded on its own.
Next question to Ron McNeil. Name the top 3 reasons you think this country is in crisis, and if elected, what specific actions will you take to overcome them?
Well, we're in a crisis because we've let the size and scope of the federal government just grow and grow and grow and grow. And we've got a generation of people, or several generations of people, that just think, sure, the government owes us a living some way, and we don't. And if you don't start doing what's right by the taxpayers, 10% of the taxpayers are paying 72% of the taxes. So is that fair? I don't think it is. Now, I'm not one of them. I'm below that group. But the fact is, you can't do that. You have to have where things are fair and equitable throughout, from the bottom to the top. And if you do that, you'll have employment. If you don't get employment, you're not going to fund the Social Securities and all the other plans that this country has to have, unless we'll just have total chaos. So we've got to get our people back employed. And to do that, we need to have a moratorium on taxes for all the corporations and people to bring their money back from offshore, back to onshore to build their businesses. And then have it where corporations never pay more than 10% of their taxes of retained earnings, so that you can employ Americans, so that we'll be jobs and money here for taxes and so forth to run the country. Sorry, I got a red light.
Thank you. The same question to you, Eddie Hendry. Name the top 3 reasons you think this country is in crisis, and if elected, what specific actions will you take to overcome them?
Well, the first thing that we have is we have a president who doesn't understand the Constitution. That's causing a lot of these problems. Our national security is based on a lot of different things: military, energy dependence, and our dollar is dropping every day, the value of it. And ladies and gentlemen, we haven't seen bad yet, but it's coming. When the inflation catches up with what we're about to go through, you're going to see bad. And the only way we're going to be able to stop this is to get some of these conservatives in power in November, so we can start blocking some of this. Our deficit is out of control, and the only way to get out of that, like I said before, is to grow taxes, to lower taxes, so we can grow our way out of it, create more environment for our businesses and individual entrepreneurs to survive. And lastly, I will say this: a war is over when our soldiers keep from getting shot at and blown up. This is not Al-Qaeda doing this, it's Taliban, who was the ones that we kicked out of there at the beginning.
Next question is for David Scholl. The financial bill just passed both houses. Would you have voted for or against this bill, and why?
The financial bill that just passed, I would have definitely voted no. The financial bill does not address the root cause of the problem. The reason why our economy is stagnant, the reason why our government is not taking in the revenue they did prior to this 2007-2008 debacle, it didn't attack the government-sponsored entities of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. This whole problem that we are facing right now is government-induced. It was induced in the name of the push for affordable housing. The government backed Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac taking over 75% of the mortgage market. They were selling loans out there, liar loans, no documentation, got away from the traditional 30-year mortgage, and now we're having to pay for it, and this was all government-induced. And the only way to get out of this problem, we need to sell off the government-sponsored entities, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They need to be sold to the private mortgage companies out there and let private enterprise do that. To get out of this mess, we're going to need to overhaul the economy, our tax code. The fair tax will do that. It'll grow the economy. We'll make our numbers.
Thank you. The same question to Steve Sutherland. Financial bill just passed both houses. Would you have voted for or against this bill, and why?
I most definitely would have voted against this bill for some of the same reasons. I think Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac created this mess. My dad taught me early on, when I wanted to buy something, he made me mow some yards and wash some cars and have a little skin in the game. And when people buy a home, they should have skin in the game. And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac violated a deeply held principle that goes back to my youth. Next, I think this financial bill harms community banks. You know and I know that when you go into your community bank to buy a tractor, to buy a truck, you don't have access to capital. And what they did is they sealed off. This will seal off more capital for your small business, my small business, and the family farm. And then finally, this bill ensures that the federal government will continue to pick and choose winners. And I vehemently disagree with a government that picks and chooses winners such as banks, such as car companies. Listen, that's a way of life. God makes sure He wants you and I, when we get up in the morning, to run fast. And if we don't run fast, we die.
That concludes our questions. Now we have the time when you will have 2 minutes to say whatever you would like to say in closing, and we will start in order as the way you are seated. Paul McCain. 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. Appreciate you having me out here. Like I said, I got into this because I had no choice. Didn't have any choice, that's why I'm here, that's what I'm going to do. What makes me different is really about the only thing I really want to impose on you people right now. The problem we have in Congress right now is something they're trying to push off as bipartisanship. Well, let me tell you what, bipartisanship does not exist. It's never going to exist. You're going to have nonpartisanship, and that's someplace where I'm coming from. I can talk to anybody because everybody's going to be out after my vote as the independent. Now make no mistake, I'm a constitutional conservative. I will not yield on my principles, but I have an advantage because I will obviously be caucusing with the Republicans. No doubt about that. That's as close to the constitutional conservatives I'm going to get. But if we have a good plan in that caucus, I can take it over to the Democrats and try to talk some sense into them and try to get them to sign on to this and say, look, you've messed up for all these years. You've done nothing for the people. This is the only chance you've got. You lost your tail in 2010. 2012 is coming. You better straighten up. Now, the only way to get legitimate legislation pushed through is to get some kind of support from both sides. Now, I'm not talking about bringing it in there and changing it. It goes in one way, it comes out the same way. But these are the things that really the independent can offer. The other thing that the independent can offer is if you want a constitutional conservative in this district. There hasn't been a Republican win this district since 1885. So they've lost 57 consecutive elections. So if you want to just pull the lever, well, this is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result. But I've beat Congress before, I've beat big industry before. I know what makes them tick. I know how to beat these people. I've done it, and I can do it for you.
Diane Berryhill.
Okay, Jerry, you can tell your wife your hand stayed above the table today. So, I'm Diane Berryhill again. I love my country. I've always been a great patriot for my country. Our family has always fought in every war since the Revolutionary War. And what I want to do is go to Washington, D.C. and be your representative. I will not caucus with the Democrat or the Republican Party. I will caucus with the people of CD2 because you are my party. I will come back to you to find out what you believe in and what you want. This is not our voting card, personally, any of us up here. It is your voting card. And we should be listening to you because this is affecting your lives. There are a lot of programs, unfortunately, we did not get to talk about tonight, and 1-minute answers are very, very short.